Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Michelle Emerson Russell, and I lead our workplace and customer experience practice here at Verizon Business Group. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of being joined by Ken Harrington, Vice President of Enterprise Contact Technologies at Wells Fargo. Today, we're going to be spending some time talking about how we're reimagining the customer experience in a new work from anywhere kind of environment. So Ken, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to spend some time with us today.
Good to see you, Michelle. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. You know, as many of our conversations start right now, it's all often about the translation of where we start and where we've come in regards to the pandemic. So my first question for you is, when the pandemic started, many of our customers had to really realign their digital blueprint, right? And how fast you went and where you looked and bringing back folks to mortar or keeping folks at home. I'd love if you could give us a little bit of information in regards to, Wells Fargo's journey, right? When you move those agents to a remote environment in 2020, and what are some of the most salient lessons learned that you folks have taken from that other folks might benefit from?
That's a great question. It's definitely COVID's been top of mind for quite a while now. So it was sort of interesting, I think, from an organization perspective. Prior to, you kind of think back, and it seems like we're thinking back 10 years, but it was only 18, 24 months ago. But we were actually in the process, as we were sort of maturing in our agile development environment, we were actually focused more on bringing a lot of our workforce back into the office, bringing them back on premise. And with the COVID, and as COVID started to grow, we found that not only did we have to pull a number of sort of levers in order to support it, but those levers became sort of business as usual after a while. So it's interesting. You think in a lot of ways it was almost like muscle memory. Not to coin a bad phrase, but we're not immune, if you will, to challenges, to regional outages, to whether it be West Coast fires or East Coast hurricanes. So to go into a business continuity mode and sort of shift those gears is not really uncommon for us. It's more seasonal. But for us to be in this space 18 months later was something that really none of us expected. So our lessons, probably one of the largest lessons learned, is how valuable a lot of our partnerships have been through supply chain, through just general partnerships through our carriers. We're an organization of 260,000 employees. A small percentage of them were working from home back at the beginning of that year. And now, we were forced to push a lot of them to work from home. So that's, 200,000, that's tens of thousands of laptops we had to purchase. We had to reach out to vendors and purchase, we weren't just purchasing 1,000 headsets, we were purchasing 60,000. So, the breadth and the depth of those partnerships were extremely critical in order to deliver sort of a frictionless environment, not only for our employees, so they can continue to securely support our customers, but in order to support our customers as well. So you look at it from an infrastructure perspective is definitely the challenge. And then we overlaid that challenge with PPP, with the lending, with the various support from the government. And our customers still needed access to their financial services, and we had to find and ensure that we can consistently provide that continuity throughout the entire process. So definitely a few big lessons learned on our part, and I think we're better for the wear. So now we just have to kind of think about bringing all these people back home and bringing them back into the office as needed.
And really, that's the interesting piece as we've talked to so many of our customers and Verizon and our perspective as well is, there's always kind of been this feeling that you really couldn't or shouldn't have contact center agents work from home or work from anywhere. And I think, like you said, what we've shown is sometimes you have to, and indeed sometimes it can actually provide new models and new ways of looking at things in the way that you service your customers. So, I'd like to get your perspective, as we move into this new, working model, where you see the mix of remote and office workers, right, as part of the future. And how do you think that organizations ensure that contact center agents have that very similar and extensible experience, whether they're working from an office or they're working from home, or maybe it's a hybrid where they're in the office some days and not in the office other days? Because, what we all know is always true is when you have engaged and very happy employees that are interfacing with your customers, they also provide a better experience for your customers. So you're interested to think about, where you folks are looking at that in the way you move your business and your brand forward and providing that kind of experience for your customers.
Well, absolutely. I mean, we started down the path, 2 years ago to even think about sending our call center employees home and having them work remote. It wasn't really even on our radar. So now we've got a proven business case and a proven business model that, it works. And you're spot on. A happy employees equal happy customers. And we've been able to deliver this on a consistent basis to our employees, and we've given them the flexibility to work through this. First and foremost, we want to make sure everyone's safe. We want to make sure our communities and our customers are safe. And then to be able to deliver the same sort of continuity of service to our customers through our employee network has really been, it's really been eye-opening from a planning perspective. You ask 75, 80% of our employees today, are they happier working from home versus coming into the office every day? And hands down, they're going to say they're happier from home. Better work-life balance, better balance, and even in many cases, better collaboration. They're able to better focus on things that are at hand, even balancing, having kids at home and learning and that. So it's definitely been a very positive spin. Or a very positive process. I think too, from looking at a lot of our partners across the industry, across this horizontal, we're seeing that the real estate market, if we're focused on certain regions of the country, we're finding that it's much more cost effective to provide this sort of benefit and have our customers work from home, as well as we're able to tap into a diverse market of individual contributors that we were unable to before, because we do have that far reach that we can deliver a very secure audio, a very high quality audio and banking connection to your home office, just the same as we were when you were in a brick and mortar. So it's definitely a plus.
And I think what's interesting about that is, especially in regards to contact center agents and the way that you're serving your consumers and your small business and large business alike, is that idea of competing for talent in a different way, right? So that we are going to have many more folks that are looking for that kind of specific position that before would have been assumptive they were in the office. Now you have folks that are going to be able to make choices depending upon an employer of where they go and what does that feel like, and does that mean that you have less churn, right, after you attract the talent? And put those things together. So there's been a very interesting evolution and conversation, with our customers over the last several months. And to that point, what I'd love to ask you about next is, in what ways have you seen actually having agents work from home improve the experience of your customer, right? And how have you been able, if so, have you been able to track that, right? As far as, shorter hold times, improved operational, streamlined processes, all of those things, right, that we look at to make sure that we're servicing our customers well. We'd love to see what you folks may or may not have seen in that regards from operational and metrics perspective.
Yeah, from a metrics perspective, it's really been very eye-opening. Turnover is definitely decreased. Sick time has decreased. We look at handle times have improved dramatically. So even with the spikes in call volume, just unprecedented volume in itself, we're still able to staff the phones, and we're still able to respond to our customers actually in a almost quicker than we were in the past. So definitely the enablement of being able to push the right tools down to the individuals at the endpoint has truly been a benefit. So, we definitely use a lot of video, a lot of collaboration tools, so that we can truly collaborate together, but we can do it virtually. That's had a direct impact on our customer base. Because at the end of the day, what we want to obviously try to do, we put our customers at the center of all of our conversations, but really we want to try to create the least amount of friction. And whether it be, a branch is closed at that time, and they want to do their banking, in the middle of the night, or they just want to be able to do it, on their time and use their sort of access tools. The fact that we've been able to push that down, and really successfully have the right bandwidth and the right technology partnerships to deliver it has truly been I think a huge plus for our customer base as well as for our employees.
And the other piece of that, to kind of follow up on that, Ken, is what we're seeing so often is, there are some terms we know in our industry are overused, right? And one of those things is the consumerization of IT. But if you think of the way that we all address how we're using video conferencing in our home environment, how we really stayed connected to people over the last year and 3 or 4 months has changed the way that we expect to participate in conversations with each other and also with our customers. So I think customers are looking to make sure they can utilize those sorts of things, and that is very much tied to the way that they collaborate internally within the office, but then externally, right, when you're talking with your customers. And to that point, customers have really grown, all of us, to have expectations of a very personalized experience. And so I'd love for you to walk me through how you've seen that evolve with both the customer expectation and from Wells Fargo, right, from your perspective of how you make sure you demonstrate that value of personalization, for your customers, and making sure that as they look to say, I want this to feel unique to Michelle Emerson Russell when I'm interfacing, paying my mortgage or whatever that might be. Interested to see how you folks are looking at Wells Fargo with that very personalized experience that consumers are looking for today.
Well, we look at it from a number of different perspectives. I think that it's interesting that before the pandemic, or really before the first of this year, knowing your customer was always important, and putting the customer into the conversation was always important. We started on an effort the first of this year where we adopted more of a customer journey. And really what we're doing now is we're incorporating the customer in every conversation that we have. So if I've got a technology team that's looking at patching, well, what does that do to our customer? How would that particular effort affect our customer or impact them? And putting the customer at the forefront and in the center of every conversation has really sort of evolved into it's more of a partnership, and more of is more of that sort of personal touch, so that we're always focused on what we're doing and how that impact kind of plays out down the road. One of the things that I think that has been important too is we've really focused a lot more on our metrics. A lot of times they'll say, you don't worry necessarily about the small stuff, and it's all small stuff. Well, we want to make sure we get the small things right. And with the small things right in a metrics environment, when we schedule a change request, when we submit that change order, when we start and when we finish is important. Those little things to make sure that we consistently can execute on just the most minor changes is important, because as an organization, those minor changes, those small things really add up quickly. So I would say from a journey perspective and a journey environment, what we've done is we haven't created any specific product or a particular tool to better engage our customers. What we've done is we've created an environment. And through this environment and through this culture, we're putting our customers first. And that has paid some pretty big dividends in just the short term from a customer experience perspective.
And to follow up to that, right, is the customer experience, while I'm chatting with an agent or talking live with an agent, right, or whatever that feels like, that experience is very, very important. But there's another piece of that, right? When you talk about putting the customer in the center of that, and that is, making sure that their information is safe. And, when you said that idea of keeping the customer at the center of all that you're doing, one of the things that we're finding is that our customers are inviting, in global enterprise specifically, are inviting more folks right within both their partner ecosystem, but also within the different groups, at an organization as they make technology and platform decisions or how they're going to implement it, right? So one of those examples really is around cloud and the true evolution of what cloud may or may not look like, and the idea of bringing security teams in earlier, right, as part of the conversation, and not just a check the box, we got to get through them, but understanding that we need the security teams at the front end because we still need to make sure that we provide the customer the outcome they need, but we need to make sure it's secure. So we're finding a lot more folks at the table internally with our customers to have that conversation. And I think that when I look at Wells Fargo, right, and what you provide to customers and what your brand means, you guys excel at both protecting that information, right, and providing exceptional experience. So I'd love your guidance, right, when you think of other companies that are perhaps in different spots in their journey, or maybe don't have the muscle that Wells Fargo has around some of these things. How do you balance the ongoing struggle of security, privacy, and a phenomenal customer experience in a contact center transaction?
Yeah, it's a great point, and we are definitely security obsessive, and that really kind of plays right into the customer experience and really servicing the customer. Our foundation is built around trust and around customer trust and the faith that our customers have that their financial information, that their money is always secure. So that part of what we've done is, just as you mentioned, we brought in security on the front end. In the past, you're right, it was after we deployed, we would come back and we would check the boxes on the security side to ensure. But we've brought them in on the front end from a design perspective, especially when we start talking about cloud. And really to the point where it's really kind of altered our definition of what is cloud. So, you've got a pure cloud play, you've got a hybrid cloud, and then you've got an internal cloud. And to me, the different definitions and the different layers are based on what type of information and what kind of data are we talking about and are we passing. So whenever we're addressing any sort of customer data, then our cloud is much more of a on-premise or a private cloud network. We're looking forward to be able to expand outside of that into more of a hybrid environment where it makes sense and where we can still ensure that sort of security. So I see the market itself sort of evolving, but based on bringing in security earlier in the architecture and design piece, as well as throughout the testing and the development life cycle. So as we're writing those scripts, we're automating our testing environment. We're looking at those security vulnerabilities, because really that is the new forefront and the new focus is to not only be able to deliver a ubiquitous solution to our customers where they want it, when they want it, but it's got to be ironclad and it's got to be secure. So a lot of what we're doing is moving it into the front of the queue, and we're looking at that from a design perspective and not just from a transactional perspective after deployment.
And then that leads me to my last question, Ken, right, is that as this world has changed, organizations of all types and sizes are now actually putting a different focus on the types of partnerships they have. So interested, for you, advice you have for folks as they look to say, listen, we're addressing things we've never addressed before. So we don't necessarily have all of the expertise, internally. We have to pick the right partners. What's your stance on that, and how you make sure you've got the right partners to help you move forward in these sorts of things?
It's interesting because I think partners is almost it's almost a diluted phrase. We've got a lot of partners, but we don't have a lot of strong partnerships. And I think we could have probably more of those. And what I mean by that is, you can look at a specific product and partner with someone that has something that's very unique in this space. But really what I look for, or what I think about, is sort of the long-term longevity of a strong partnership. And that's really more of the breadth. And really at the end of the day, I think that, we look for partnerships, individuals or companies that are willing to basically jump in and become part of the solution. So, and really provide not only a breadth of solution sets and abilities, especially say during the COVID event. We had everything from capacity challenges to, enhanced virtual callback that we needed support with. And we needed strong partnerships, that people that were willing to have the breadth to provide alternative solutions for us, but also the depth to actually execute on those decisions. So I think that it's just something that we found that more and more it's something that sort of evolves long term. And again, it relates more to the breadth of the relationship than really just any particular product or any particular service.
So speaking of good partnerships, Ken, thank you so much for joining me today. It was great to see you again. And I hope someday soon it's in person again. But appreciate your partnership, and thank you for spending your time here with us today.
Truly my pleasure, Michelle. Thank you very much, and have a great afternoon.
Awesome. And to everyone, thank you for joining Ken and I today. We really appreciate your time, and obviously we'll be here to answer any questions you might have of us. So thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.